Good morning or good afternoon. If you are watching this video, it means that you are ready to move on to the final step, the final portion of the Black History Project. Up to this point, you should have done your research. You should have completed your display board on Google Classroom. If you're not done with those, you can watch this video and then go back and finish them. But for right now, as you watch this, think about how am I going to make a public facing portion of the project? What does that mean? Well, as historians, it's our job not only to be able to develop a level of understanding of the past that we understand it, but that we are able to teach it to others. So you're going to create something that the public will be able to see at our Black History Museum and interact with in a way that they can learn more about history. So you have four options. Today, as you go through these options, as I talk about them, I'm going to ask you to take some brief notes on them. For each of the four different options, I want you to jot down what do I do. So write some bullet points of I have to make a costume, I have to do this, I have to do this. And after each one, jot down is this for me? Yes or no? Maybe. Think about it. So, with this paper in front of you, with your name on it and the name of the person you were doing, let's take a look. Option one, being an interpreter. So, this is an option that you've probably heard of before because for the past 2 years, this was the only option. In this, you will dress up as a person, you will make a costume, you will have a short speech, and you will pretend that you are that person in your presentation. So people will come up to you, they'll ask you, um, they'll hit the button, and you'll start giving your speech, and then you'll snap back to wax. So when you do this, you have a few steps. You're going to draft a speech. In that speech, you're going to pretend to be that person. You're going to write it on note cards. You're going to try to memorize your speech as much as possible. When you write your speech, there are good and bad speeches. A good speech uses quotes from the person. You speak like that person. You try to focus on the bigger ideas of why you are important. You don't just list a bunch of facts. So I suggest you pause right now and take a look at these two examples of a Booker T. Washington speech. As you write your speech, you're going to think about what are the themes of this person's life? What are these major achievements? Then you're also going to figure out what your costume is, and the costume needs to be something that you come up with. Two of my prior students here, Corey and Amira, they both came up with their own costumes, and they gathered a graduation robe is what Corey needed to be Judge Thurgood Marshall. He borrowed a gavel from someone. Amira got this from family members of hers who worked in the medical field so that they could have props that look like the person they are. So you need to think of, okay, what are the props I need? And if you need help, I can try and help you, but you first need to think about how can you get those props. Then on the Living Wax Day, you'll stand and you'll give a presentation. People will come up and press a button on the back of your hand. You'll come to life. And people will listen to you repeat the speech as many times as they come up. And you are remaining in character the whole time. At this time, pause, look at your note sheet, and jot down some ideas about what an interpreter does and whether or not this is for you. Pause the video now. Next is digital archivists. You are going to locate sources. I say 10 to 20, but 8 to 10 is actually how many I want. And you are going to locate 8 to 10 primary and secondary sources related to your person and curate them online. On the actual museum day, since it's an online thing you made, you will act as a docent. That means you're guiding people through the museum, answering questions, helping the museum go efficiently. Maybe you're giving tours. Maybe you're working the museum shop. All of these are options. So the first thing you're going to do is locate 8 to 10 primary sources. So for instance, somebody I know is doing Carter G. Woodson, the guy who came up with Black History Month. You could find selections from his speeches, a book he wrote, pictures of him, pictures of objects from his life, a picture of the house he grew up in. All of these are primary and secondary sources. And for each source, you're going to say where you came from, where it came from, and how it helps you learn about that person's life. So, for instance, here are two sources I got from Booker T. Washington's life, a picture of him giving a speech that was super important, and a quote from his book that he wrote. And so in these two sources, I then write captions explaining why these sources are important and what they can tell people. I also try to give questions for people to reflect on. So you're going to, after you make that, then make a Google Doc. You're going to put all 10 of your sources in there. And once you've done all 10 of your sources, you're going to talk with me, and we're going to work in getting it uploaded to the website. And then on the day of the Living Wax Museum, there will be a QR code on your poster. People will scan it, and they'll be able to access your site. So take a moment, pause, and write about what a digital archivist does. Option three, historic memorabilia maker. When you go to the Black History Museum in Washington, D.C., you will see that they have a gift shop, and all gift shops have stuff that people are supposed to take home with them that they purchase that helps them connect to the history later on. So it could be something as simple as a keychain, it could be a book, it can be a pamphlet. So during the museum day, you'll be acting as a docent, probably selling stuff at the museum, but you'll also be creating a product to go in. And the product could be a lot of different things. Maybe you design a postcard commemorating the life of the person you chose. Maybe you make a 3D printed piece of artwork using the 3D printers in Miss Lewis's room. Maybe you're an artist and you want to make your own high quality piece of art that will scan and sell. Maybe you want to perform the musician's work you chose and we'll have a designed CD for you. Maybe you want to make a book, like a children's book or a short book explaining the life of the person. Maybe you want to explain your person's achievements in a brochure and then tells people how to get involved in their community and supporting work. Maybe there's something else you want to make. Anything is an option. You just need to talk to me about it. And in step two, you will create a step list to follow to make sure your product can be sold at the museum store. Take a moment and stop now and jot down some ideas about historic memorabilia maker. Final option is the digital exhibit creator. As a digital exhibit creator, on the day of the museum, you will also be a docent guiding people through the museum. But before that, you will make a digital exhibit that people can access via QR code. It'll be two things, a map or a video. So the map will take 10 major places that they lived or did something in and explain how those locations and the journey over their life um, is shown on the map. Or maybe you want to make a video. And in that video, you are going to think of like ways to show their life in a script, and you can get really creative with it. I only require that you have like at least 6 images you're put on the video and a script, but maybe you want to do more with it. Maybe you want to use Screencastify on your Booker T. Washington computer. Maybe you want to use CapCut. Maybe you want to go home and film something with people helping you make it. All those are options. You can also just do the map on felt.com and I can help you make that. Or you can talk with your teacher about a different idea you have and we can plan it together. Take a moment and pause now and think of this idea. So by this point, your page should be filled in. You should have thought of, is this for me? At the top of the paper, you should write your name and that person's name. And I want you to circle your number one choice. I want you to come hand the sheet to me and we'll talk about your next step for the project. Thanks so much for watching this and good luck on your project.